The weaponization of media is one of the most dangerous shifts we are witnessing today. Media, once seen as a tool for informing the public, has now become an instrument of manipulation. The Indian media specifically has transformed from a platform of free thought and honest reporting to a machine of relentless propaganda. The sad reality is that it no longer serves to inform or enlighten, it serves only to deceive and mislead. This isn't a simple matter of biased reporting, it's a systematic and intentional distortion of the truth, designed to shape public perception, stir emotions, and most tragically incite conflict. In this war of words, the enemy's greatest weapon is no longer the gun. It is the lie, repeated so frequently that it begins to sound like truth. The art of propaganda is not to say something once but to say it over and over again until it becomes ingrained in the minds of the people. And that's what the Indian media is doing. They craft a narrative, one that paints Pakistan as the enemy, as the aggressor, and as the source of all problems. They repeat these claims relentlessly day after day until the lies take root deep within the collective consciousness of the world. The problem is not just that these lies are being spread, it's that they are being spread to such an extent that the very fabric of truth is being eroded in their rush to push their own agenda. The Indian media has abandoned the principles of journalism. The role of the media has always been to present the facts, to shine light on the truth, no matter how uncomfortable or inconvenient it may be. But today the media has become a tool of the state, a mouthpiece for the powerful, spreading misinformation for political and ideological gain. We see this every time the Indian media reports on a conflict. They don't show the full story, they don't show both sides, they don't show the devastation on the ground, the human cost of the decisions made behind closed doors. Instead, they choose to tell a one-sided, distorted version of events that paints Pakistan as the villain and glorifies India as the innocent victim. This manipulation of truth isn't just an error in judgment, it's a deliberate strategy. By controlling the narrative, they control the emotions of the masses. They use the media as a weapon, crafting a sense of nationalism and urgency that pushes people toward conflict, making them believe that war is not only justified but necessary. But what are the root consequences of this kind of media warfare? What happens when the truth is distorted to such a degree that it becomes unrecognizable? We've already seen the impact on the people of both nations. Families have lost loved ones, children have lost their innocence, and communities have been torn apart. But there is also a far more insidious effect, the loss of trust in the truth itself. When lies are repeated often enough, people stop questioning them. They stop looking for the truth because they are led to believe that the lie is the truth. They become numb to the pain and suffering that is unfolding right before their eyes. This is the danger of the media in its current form. It's not just about misinformation, it's about manipulation at the highest level. And it's not just the people within India or Pakistan who are affected by this. The entire world is watching. The world is being fed a one-sided version of the story and it shapes their perception of the situation. When the media in India paints a picture of Pakistan as the aggressor, they aren't just manipulating their own people, they are manipulating the global community. And this global perception shaped by falsehoods leads to real-world consequences. It impacts diplomatic relations, international policies, and ultimately the lives of innocent people who are caught in the crossfire of this fabricated narrative. The role of the media is not to push a political agenda. The role of the media is not to manufacture reality. The role of the media is to report the truth unfiltered, unbiased, and without manipulation. The Indian media, in its quest for ratings, sensationalism, and power, has forgotten this fundamental responsibility. Instead of being a beacon of truth, it has become a machine of deceit, one that twists reality and spreads hatred. This isn't just about the media doing a disservice to its viewers, it's about the dangerous consequences of allowing lies to flourish unchecked. When lies take hold, the foundation of truth is shattered. And when the foundation of truth is gone, nothing is left but chaos. We must ask ourselves, what kind of world are we creating when the truth is no longer respected? What kind of future are we building when misinformation becomes the foundation of our actions, when propaganda becomes the tool of our leaders, and when the media stops asking the difficult questions and instead chooses to push a one-sided agenda? The world we're heading toward is one where conflict is the default, where trust is a casualty, and where the voices of the innocent are drowned out by the loud clamor of lies. We cannot afford to remain silent. We cannot afford to let these lies go unchallenged. Because when the media becomes a weapon of war, when it distorts reality for its own gain, it is up to all of us to stand firm, to speak the truth, and to demand that the lies be exposed. This is not just a battle for information, it's a battle for our future. The truth will always stand tall even when lies seem louder. The question is, will we have the courage to hear it, to speak it, and to fight for it? And make no mistake, this is not a fight against the people of India but against the system that uses media to distort truth and manipulate nations. We cannot and we will not stand by as the voice of truth is drowned out by the lies of propaganda. We will rise above the noise. We will rise above the lies. And we will never stop fighting for the truth. When we talk about the manipulation of truth, we must acknowledge the depth to which it's been ingrained in the media today. The Indian media's approach to conflict and the way it manipulates the narrative is not just about biased reporting, it's about the deliberate shaping of public perception to serve a particular agenda. What they have done and continue to do is to create a false dichotomy, a narrative that casts India as a peace-loving nation and Pakistan as the aggressor, regardless of the facts on the ground. The truth is buried beneath layers of propaganda, and the people of India are being led to believe that they are justified in their actions, no matter the cost. This isn't simply an error in judgment. This is a calculated strategy, one that has far-reaching implications not only for India and Pakistan but for the world as a whole. The first step in this manipulation is to control the flow of information. The media plays an undeniable role in shaping our understanding of any given situation, and in this case it is playing a dangerous role. By controlling the narrative and dictating the story that is told to the public, they ensure that only one perspective is heard, and that perspective is always skewed to justify their actions. The Indian media has mastered the art of creating a narrative that is so convincing that it's difficult for even the most well-meaning individuals to see past it. The constant barrage of misinformation, the relentless repetition of distorted facts, and the carefully constructed visuals all work together to reinforce this warped view of reality. Consider the way they report on any military confrontation between India and Pakistan. The headlines are often sensationalized, designed to provoke fear and outrage. Words like aggression, terrorism, and enemy are used to paint Pakistan as the sole instigator of violence. They show images of destruction and suffering, but they never give context. They never explain why certain events unfolded, and they rarely show the suffering on both sides of the border. This is the essence of propaganda, controlling what is seen and heard and leaving out the parts that don't fit the narrative. What's more troubling is that this manipulation goes beyond simple storytelling. The Indian media's portrayal of Pakistan is not just one-sided, it's designed to dehumanize an entire nation. The constant depiction of Pakistanis as terrorists, as enemies of peace, creates a climate of fear and hatred. The very image of an entire population is being distorted to justify aggression and violence. In the eyes of many, Pakistan is no longer seen as a nation of people with hopes, dreams, and aspirations, but as a threat that must be contained, controlled, and defeated. The media shapes this perception by focusing exclusively on the negative, sensationalized aspects of the conflict while conveniently ignoring the human cost on both sides. This kind of media warfare has an immediate and long-lasting impact on the minds of the people. It's a tool of division, one that perpetuates hatred and distrust. The more this narrative is pushed, the more deeply embedded it becomes in the collective consciousness. The result is a people who, instead of seeking peace, begin to see conflict as the only solution. It creates a vicious cycle where every action, every word, and every event is seen through a lens of suspicion and fear. It's a dangerous game to play, and it's one that has already led to the loss of innocent lives and the destruction of communities. But perhaps the most dangerous consequence of this is the way it erodes the very concept of truth. When the media manipulates facts, when it bends the truth to serve a political agenda, it undermines the foundation of trust in the media itself. People begin to doubt everything they hear, and when truth becomes relative, it becomes nearly impossible to distinguish fact from fiction. This is the crux of the problem. The loss of truth leads to the loss of clarity. People are left in a state of confusion, uncertain of what to believe and who to trust. And when this happens, manipulation becomes even easier. The truth no longer matters because people have been conditioned to believe that there is no one truth, only competing narratives. This situation is further compounded by the rise of social media, where misinformation spreads like wildfire. The Indian media's messages, already powerful on traditional platforms, are amplified across social media networks, reaching an even broader audience. The sheer volume of content combined with its emotional appeal makes it incredibly difficult to discern fact from fiction. What's worse, social media allows these lies to spread without any accountability.
Anyone with an agenda can create and share content, and once it's out there, it's often too late to correct the record. The cycle of misinformation continues, further entrenching the false narrative and making it harder to break free from the web of lies. Now let's think about the real world consequences of this manipulation. When the media's portrayal of Pakistan is constantly negative, when its people are demonized and its motives misrepresented, the result is a society that is conditioned to hate. This isn't just about political leaders or media moguls benefiting from a skewed narrative, it's about the individuals who are caught in the crossfire. The innocent civilians who are caught up in this conflict, who are made to feel like they have no choice but to support their country's agenda, no matter the cost. The human cost is immense, and yet it is rarely acknowledged. The cycle of hatred, fear and mistrust will continue as long as the media continues to perpetuate this dangerous narrative. This is why it is so crucial for us to expose the lies, to show the world the truth. We must recognize that the real battle is not just on the ground but in the hearts and minds of the people. And if we do not stand up to the propaganda, if we do not challenge the lies, then we are allowing this cycle of hatred to continue unchecked. The media has the power to shape the world, but it also has the power to destroy it. When used for good, it can bring people together, promote understanding and spark change. But when used for manipulation, it can fuel division, sow distrust and lead to conflict. The stakes are high, and we must recognize the responsibility that lies with those who control the media. In this moment, as the world watches, we have the opportunity to demand the truth. We have the opportunity to challenge the lies and expose the manipulation for what it is. This is our chance to reclaim the narrative, to ensure that the truth is heard no matter how loud the lies may be. As we continue to peel back the layers of this toxic propaganda, it becomes clear that the implications of the Indian media's actions stretch far beyond just misinformation. This isn't merely about a distortion of facts for political gain. This is about the very fabric of truth itself being torn apart. What we see is not only a manipulation of the narrative but a deliberate attempt to create a perception that is designed to dehumanize and vilify an entire nation and its people. The lies propagated by the media do not just affect the relationship between two countries, they have the potential to erode the basic human principles of empathy, understanding and respect. The ramifications of this are vast, and they permeate every aspect of society. Take a moment to think about the global stage. The media has an incredible power to shape international opinion. This power is often abused, as we see in the case of India's portrayal of Pakistan. By casting Pakistan in an entirely negative light, the media in India not only reinforces existing biases but also creates new ones. This results in an environment where even countries that are distant from the conflict begin to see Pakistan not as a sovereign nation with its own people and struggles, but as an enemy, an entity that must be contained, criticized and isolated. The widespread dissemination of lies, even when challenged, alters perceptions globally, making it increasingly difficult for the truth to shine through. The power of the media lies in its ability to shape narratives, and in this particular case, the Indian media has constructed a narrative that casts India in a victimized, heroic light while portraying Pakistan as the villain. But what happens when this narrative is accepted unquestioningly by the public? What happens when entire societies are conditioned to view one side as entirely good and the other as entirely evil? This binary thinking breeds division, it breeds hatred, and the more the Indian media repeats these lies, the more entrenched these views become. The problem is that this isn't just an isolated issue. What the Indian media is doing in this context has a direct and dangerous impact on real lives. The cycle of misinformation creates a climate of fear and mistrust, where every interaction, every political move and every border dispute becomes a confirmation of the distorted narrative. When people believe that their country is under constant threat from a neighbor, it fosters an environment where peace becomes impossible. The consequences of this kind of media manipulation are felt not only by the two countries involved but by the people who are left to bear the weight of this fabricated ideology.
One of the most insidious outcomes of this media manipulation is the erosion of trust. Trust is the bedrock of any society. It is essential for cooperation, for peace, and for progress. But when the media begins to erode that trust by distorting facts and creating false narratives, it becomes almost impossible for people to work together, to have honest dialogues, or to seek common ground. The constant barrage of hatred and suspicion makes it difficult for the average citizen to even entertain the possibility of peace, because peace has been painted as a betrayal of the national cause. This manipulation of public opinion keeps people divided and entrenched in their beliefs, no matter how flawed those beliefs may be. But beyond the political, social and emotional impacts, there is a deeper, more troubling aspect to the Indian media's manipulation. When we distort the truth in such a deliberate manner, we also distort the very essence of what it means to be human. We reduce complex geopolitical issues into simple, emotionally charged slogans that are meant to trigger instinctive reactions. We lose sight of the fact that on the other side of the conflict there are people just like us,
people with families, hopes and dreams. The media's portrayal of Pakistan as a faceless enemy perpetuates a dehumanization that makes it easier to justify violence, to justify aggression. The more we dehumanize our neighbors, the easier it becomes to believe that their suffering is justified, that their loss is inconsequential. The truth is there is no victory in war, only loss. But when the media makes it easy to view the enemy as less than human, it becomes much easier to ignore the cost of war. This is why the Indian media's manipulation isn't just a political issue, it is a human issue. It affects the way we see each other as people, as neighbors and as fellow human beings. The more we allow these lies to persist, the more we risk losing our ability to empathize with others. The ability to see the humanity in those who are different from us is what makes us capable of peace. When that ability is stripped away, we are left with nothing but division, hatred and conflict. It is also important to understand that this manipulation does not only harm the people of Pakistan or the people of India, it harms us all. The creation of false narratives feeds into the larger problem of global instability. When one country or group of people is demonized for political purposes, it sets a dangerous precedent. It allows for the normalization of violence, the justification of cruelty and the erosion of empathy on a global scale. The Indian media's portrayal of Pakistan isn't just a reflection of one country's political agenda. It is a reflection of a broader trend in which truth becomes irrelevant and manipulation becomes the tool of choice. This is a dangerous precedent, one that can and will continue to fuel conflict if left unchecked. The only way to break free from this cycle is through truth. We must recognize that the lies being perpetuated serve only to divide us, to keep us entrenched in conflict and to prevent any possibility of understanding. The media must be held accountable for the role it plays in shaping public opinion and distorting facts. It is essential that we as a global community demand better. We must reject the notion that media can be used as a tool for manipulation and call for a return to journalism that values truth above all else. Because when we allow lies to rule the narrative, we do not just lose the battle for truth, we lose our humanity. In the end, it is the responsibility of each one of us to stand up for the truth, to demand accountability and to push back against the lies that threaten to destroy the fabric of our societies. We must ensure that the truth is heard no matter how loud the lies may be, and in doing so we will pave the way for a future where peace, understanding and empathy are no longer just ideals but lived realities. When we look at the broader picture, we must understand that this fight for truth is not just a battle between two countries or two nations, it is a fight for the values that we hold dear as human beings. The manipulation of the media, the spread of lies and the silencing of truth are all part of a larger strategy to undermine the very foundation of justice and fairness. It is not just the political leaders or the media that are at fault here, it is every individual who turns a blind eye to these injustices and allows this narrative to persist. We cannot remain silent in the face of lies that threaten to tear apart the very fabric of society, nor can we afford to let these distortions of truth define the future of our children or the generations that will follow. We live in a time where information travels faster than ever before, where news spreads across the globe in the blink of an eye. While this technological advancement has many benefits, it also comes with its fair share of challenges. In today's world where misinformation is as easily shared as truth, it has become incredibly difficult to separate fact from fiction. The Indian media has mastered this art by flooding the airwaves with lies, half-truths and carefully crafted propaganda. They have turned the concept of truth into something fluid, something open to interpretation. But let me tell you, this truth is not negotiable. Truth cannot be twisted to suit someone's agenda, no matter how hard they try. Truth is absolute, and it is only when we hold on to that truth that we can begin to heal the wounds inflicted by this ongoing media war. In every war, it is the common people who suffer the most. They are the ones who bear the brunt of the violence, the division and the consequences of the lies that are told. In this case, the people on both sides of the conflict, the innocent citizens, the families, the children, are the ones who pay the price for the media's games. The politicians and media moguls who benefit from these false narratives are far removed from the pain and suffering of those who are caught in the crossfire. The soldiers on the borders may fight with weapons, but it is the civilians who endure the long-lasting scars of this psychological war, a war fought on the front lines of our minds. We must ask ourselves, why is this happening? Why is it that a few powerful individuals sitting in their offices and studios have the power to shape the opinions of millions? Why is it that a country's entire media apparatus can be turned into a machine that spreads falsehoods and sows division, creating an environment where hatred replaces understanding and violence replaces peace? The answer is simple: because they know that when you control the narrative, you control everything. This manipulation of public opinion is not just a tactic, it is a weapon. And as long as we allow this weapon to be used against us, as long as we allow ourselves to be swayed by these lies, we will continue to suffer the consequences. It is easy to blame the media for this war, but we must also recognize that it is our collective responsibility to fight back. We cannot rely solely on journalists or politicians to restore truth to the world. We as individuals must take up the mantle. The battle for truth is a battle that we all must fight. It starts with questioning what we hear, challenging the narrative that is presented to us, and seeking out the facts for ourselves. We must educate ourselves and others about the dangers of misinformation and propaganda. We must teach our children the importance of critical thinking so that they will not fall prey to the lies of the future. The fight for truth begins in our hearts and minds, and it is only through this collective effort that we can begin to undo the damage caused by those who seek to manipulate us. But perhaps the most powerful tool we have in this fight for truth is solidarity. It is only when we stand together united by a common purpose that we can truly make a difference. When we as a global community refuse to accept the lies that are being spread, when we stand up for the truth regardless of the cost, we send a clear message to those who seek to divide us. We will not be manipulated. We will not be swayed by falsehoods, and we will not allow our humanity to be stripped away by those who use lies to gain power and control. The power of truth lies in its ability to unite. In a world that is increasingly divided by politics, religion and nationality, the truth is the one thing that transcends all boundaries. The truth has the power to break down walls, to bring people together and to create understanding where there was once hatred. It is only through truth that we can build bridges of peace between nations, heal the wounds of the past and create a future where our children will no longer have to suffer the consequences of the lies that have been told before them. In the end, we must remember that we are not fighting just for a political victory. We are fighting for our right to live in a world where truth matters, where integrity is valued and where justice prevails. We must stand firm in our resolve, knowing that the path we are on is not an easy one. But as long as we are committed to the truth, as long as we continue to speak out against the lies and manipulation, we will prevail. The truth is our weapon, and as long as we hold it close, we will never be defeated. So let us stand together, let us raise our voices, and let us show the world that we will not be silenced. We will expose the lies, we will uncover the truth, and we will fight until the last lie falls and the truth is restored. Because in the end, the truth is the only thing that will set us free.